Hi, welcome to the Cloud Native on Oracle Database at Azure session for Build 2024. My name's Gavin Parish, and with me is Gerald.
Hi. So what is Oracle Database? Oracle Database is a multi-model, multi-workload converged database. That means it allows you to have multiple data models in the same database, applying any workload on top of that data. That in turn gives developers a huge productivity booster. It allows you to have the same SQL and same transactions on microservices that are either dealing with JSON, spatial, relational, or other formats, and even REST enable them.
So what does it mean to be Oracle Database at Azure? There's three main things. First of all, is the native experience, being able to access the Oracle Database natively through Azure, just like any other service. Being able to connect to the database through a virtual network. One single bill from Microsoft. You don't have to worry about multiple clouds doing multiple billing and having that kind of relationship. You can go straight to Microsoft and get the bill directly from them. The third thing is that the database hardware is actually hosted within the Azure Data Center. So we run Exadata as our database platform, the fastest Oracle database platform that you can find. And we actually host that within the Azure Data Center. So you've got very low latency access to the database, so millisecond access, which means that your OLTP applications and even your data warehousing applications have that performance that it really requires. But why should I care? What can we do from a development perspective for Oracle Database at Azure?
Well, the Oracle database at Azure is like any other database, a size for location. So it doesn't really matter whether you start small or scale up to across the globe, web scale, etc. It's an Oracle database that can handle that load. So that makes it a perfect entry-level point database all the way to help you grow. You never really have to worry about the workload that you get or the amount of users that you
So you can start small.
That's right.
How small?
As small as just like 2 eCPUs, for example. So it's really like geared towards if you say you want to start really, really small, entry level, you just get an eCPU, couple of gigabytes, whatever you need with your starter set data, if you have such a thing, right?
Yep.
To support maybe up to 1-2 users even, or even just for development, right? Smallest possible scale.
Yep.
And then you can scale it fully transparently online if you wish to do so. So whenever you need to add more CPUs or more storage, you can do so with a click of a button without actually having to take down the application or take any out time. That's all done fully automatic and online.
Yeah, and with the Exadata under the covers, the ability to scale even further. So once you kind of move that workload into a production sense, being able to scale to multiple terabytes and hundreds of CPUs continues to scale.
Right. Excellent. And the other aspect to it is it's the Oracle database, as said before, is a converged database. So that scale applies to any kind of data that you can store in it, which is not only relational, but you can use it as JSON storage, like a JSON document store. You can store graph data in there, spatial data in there, even blockchain data. So it really also fits every purpose from a microservices perspective. Whatever data type you want to store in the database, you can store in autonomous database.
Okay, what about accessing that data? Like Mongo API?
Yeah, so there as well you have choice. You can go through all of these different data types through SQL, which makes it actually really powerful if you wanted to analyze the data. You could even store and analyze different types of data in the same database. So for example, store JSON and relational data, query across it and join across it. But you could also go, as you just said, via the MongoDB API, so with a fully compatible MongoDB API. So if you just want to treat it as a document store like any other MongoDB system, you can do so as well. And you can also access the data via REST. And that's, of course, very powerful because that now means that any kind of microservice style access pattern that expects a REST service and a JSON payload, you can do so as well. And again, it doesn't matter which data type you store in the database. You can expose the REST interface across any of them.
So what about trying to get to know the environment, get to know the Oracle database? How much do we need to learn from a developer perspective? What do we need to do?
So the autonomous database at Azure is under the covers, an autonomous database which is under the covers, an Oracle database. That means the same skills that you have for an Oracle database. If you know SQL already, or how to create tables, or how to write triggers or PL SQL, all of that applies as well. So it's not a completely new service that you have to learn from ground up. You can literally just reuse your skills. It's under the covers. still the same Oracle database and the same skill set applies. On top of that, you get the autonomous capabilities, as we said before, as well as the Exadata benefits as well. But from that point of view, you can get going within literally seconds, just provision a new one, and there you go. It's like you connect to it like it were any other Oracle database. You start using it like it's any other Oracle database.
Yeah, so what about developers that are used to having to, shift their work from, they're doing OLTP with an application, but then they need to move it to do like reporting on, do we need to...
like warehouse style applications or something. So it's a great question. So Oracle Database supports any workload. And actually we have done this for many, many, many years, right? So we already were like OLTP and data warehouse in one like 20 years ago, mixed workloads, etc. So from that point of view, you don't have to worry either. So often what you see today is like a microservice of a kind of an OLTP nature that will capture, for example, product sales or something like that, right? Or reviews or whatever, anything that's kind of like in large transactional fashion. You can load the data into an autonomous database, but then on the same side, drive analytics from the data. So often you see, as you mentioned before, if you have like a purely single purpose OLTP like database, you would have to then take that data and either through event sourcing or ETL, whatever, put it into some data lake or something, and then run your analytics there. And then the fun starts with keeping the data in sync end to end. The Oracle database or autonomous database, either of those, you don't have that problem because it can deal with both these workloads. And it's actually proven to deal with these workloads for many, many years. So that in turn, again, is a huge productivity booster because you as a developer do not have to care of like, hey, do I need to change any knobs or do I have to move, data around or reorganize it or whatever? No, you just run your SQL while you get your data loaded via two microservices or many microservices, as a matter of fact. Okay. So Gavin, what about a demonstration for our audience? Let's just show them what we can do with autonomous database.
Sounds good. What are you going to show us? Like, I can go through the first bit, I suppose, the actual provisioning of the autonomous database. It's super quick. We've got Terraform scripts, and we'll go through that in a second. But then on top of that, I'll give you connection to an autonomous database. What are you going to do first?
Yeah, so let's just show how you load some JSON data into the database and query it via SQL, right? And it's like, see how quick and easy it is to go from nothing to provisioning to load data to actually write SQL against it. Cool. I think that could be really interesting for the audience in terms of like how quick you can actually have an application go access data in our autonomous database.
Sounds good.
Cool.
If we have a look at the Terraform script, you'll see that we've got a resource group being created, the movie stream resource group. We've also got a virtual network being created and a subnet. You'll notice here that there's a service delegation to the Oracle.database network attachments service delegation. That's so we can create the private endpoint in the virtual network for the database. And then the actual resource itself. So 2 eCPUs, 32 gig of storage, and database 19C. And that's it. That's how quick it is and easy it is to create. And then we'll do our Terraform init. Just make sure everything's installed correctly. Okay, and Terraform plan now. So we can just make sure that everything is looking correct and we know what we're going to install. Okay, so 4 things to add. So the resource group, the VNet, the subnet, and the database itself, and now Terraform apply. And that's going to go off and create resource group, virtual network, subnet, and finally the database itself. This could take a bit, so I'll come back in a second, and here we go. All resources created. So I'll just quickly jump across to the console, the portal now. We see our movie stream resource group. Just having a look at that. So we've got our database, our virtual network, and our subnet. You'll notice that there's 2 private DNS zones there for the actual database connect string. So our connect knows the DNS entry, our UI here. And I just grabbed the connection string for Gerald. And there you go. So this is the autonomous database in Azure portal. And I'll hand it over to you, Gerald.
So now that I have an Oracle database, I can connect through it via many different tools. I said it's just another Oracle database, happens to be Autonomous Database on Azure. So we actually got a SQL Developer plugin for VS Code. SQL Developer is our premier development tool for people accessing Oracle database. So it allows me to browse for tables, create code, etc., write SQL statements.
So that's just a plugin.
That is just a plugin for VS Code now.
Do I have to pay for it?
No, it's free and it's in a marketplace, and it's actually, let me show you real quick. This is how quick you can install it. You know, you go to the marketplace and I'll type in SQL Developer, and there it is, and install. Wait a bit, and here we go. So now we got the plugin installed. And the next thing will be we connect to the Autonomous Database in Azure. So Gavin provisioned it already for me and gave me the connect string details. So we just click the plus button here, type in these details, a name, username, password, okay, connect string to it, and let's test this connection. And there we go, it works. And so now I hit connect and I open the SQL worksheet. So now that we have the SQL worksheet, which is basically just a window where I can write SQL statements, I'll show you how to load JSON data. We actually have a built-in loading utility built into Autonomous Database. So that means you can either invoke this programmatically via this code snippet that I'm about to show you, or of course we have also tooling on top of that that will invoke that as well. So whether you want to use UI or a code is really up to you, but here you go. I show you this really quickly in this code snippet. So this is a DBMS cloud package that basically points to locational object store where you can find that data. We execute this and we wait 2-3 seconds. There we go, it's loaded now. So what that now did is actually it used JSON data on object store, so basically JSON files, and created a new table for us and loaded the JSON data in it. So let me just now query that data. So in this case, we have movie stream data, so data about movies. So let's just quickly see all the movies where Meryl Streep was in it. And so that is super simple by just, having a select clause with these 3 attributes from movie collections, and then where the actor is Meryl Streep, and there we go. Here we have the result. So this is it. It's like in just a couple of minutes we've shown you how you go from nothing to having a database installed or provisioned, and then the plugin installed, connected to it, loaded data in it, and being able to now use it. And so now you can go ahead and point your application to it and start writing code.
Writing code. Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you, Gerald, for being with us today. I hope everybody learned some stuff.
Thanks very much for being here, and have fun at Microsoft Build.